Hello, everyone. My name is Gabriela Gorzycka, and I'm going to lead the next session in our Day of Security, which is called Strong Like a Woman, How to Overcome Your Imposter Syndrome and Challenge Your Inner Critic. And thank you very much, first of all, for being here with me today. And I hope that you learn something new and it will help you in further development and really boosting of your career. But to start with, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself, who I actually am, and why am I doing this presentation? Why am I the one person who prepared this for you? So about myself to start with, I'm 33 years old, and my professional background is I've been working in IT for the last 10 years, 5 of which I spent as a cybersecurity specialist. Um, my professional background was actually a linguist, so I didn't have technical background. I had to learn everything from scratch. And that means that over the last 10 years, I really managed to build a lot of knowledge and I really developed myself. You can imagine that it meant a lot of obstacles. It meant that this was quite a journey. And finally, I since 2019, my role is global head of endpoint threat protection at Atos, which means that basically I'm responsible for delivering endpoint protection services to our customers all over the world in a company that is currently, according to Gartner, number one in cybersecurity MSSP provider. So this is quite a challenge. This is the work I'm really passionate about. But it means that there were, over those 10 years, there were so many situations when I really had to overcome many challenges that I really had to step out of my comfort zone. And overall, this was not so easy. So I've learned it, I've made it, I've learned it. I had also inner critic, I had imposter syndrome, but I've managed to overcome it. And today I wanted to talk to you about it and share tips and tricks from professionals, also from people who I know, from people who I admire, and to help you if to first of all to recognize if you struggle with that problem, and secondly, if so, to help you cope with that and really boost your career. So, what is inner critic and what is imposter syndrome? Let's start with some definition. According to Harvard Business Review, imposter syndrome is a collection of feelings of inadequacy that persist despite evident success. Imposters suffer from chronic self doubt and a sense of intellectual fraudulence that override any feeling of success or external proof of their competence. So, in short, you have imposter syndrome if you feel that something that you do is not right, that you are not in the right place, that you are faking somebody else, and somebody may find out about it. So, let me give you an example. Whenever you are advanced to a new position and you think, like, it's not for me, I shouldn't be here, I shouldn't do it, I'm not good enough. I'm Anyone else thinks that I'm good enough, but I know I'm not. And what if they will find out? Then it's imposter syndrome. So, a couple of examples that you see in the slides. These are the quotes of my friends and myself. And if you recognize them, that means that you may feel that you may have imposter syndrome. On the other hand, we've got inner critic, and this is a so-called persona. So I once attended a lecture of a very, very smart person from my company who also was talking about inner critic, and she said a funny thing that she always portrays herself, an inner critic, as a kind of person inside her. She even gave her a name. So let's say that inner critic is, for example, called Jane, and this Jane sits inside you, and she's like an inner voice who's constantly criticizing you. So you look in the mirror and you think, oh, I could lose some weight. You are at work and you think, oh, I should do better today, I could have done better. You go home and you take care of your family, for example, you spend some time relaxing, and you think, oh, I wanted to clean up the kitchen today and I didn't manage to do it. I'm such a terrible person, I'm such a terrible housewife, and so on. So this is inner critic, this inner voice that is constantly criticizing you. And let me tell you, of course, to some extent, inner critic is needed. Otherwise, we would be narcissists. But overall, if inner critic takes over your activities and influences really your self-esteem, that is bad, and that means you have to do something about it. Um, some other, some other examples that we can recognize, some thoughts that we may have is, I don't have enough experience. People will not take me seriously. Or what if I'm not right? What will people think of me? Um, Something that I've been discussing with my friends and also during my lectures with participants. Something that, yeah, obviously women think constantly about them. And to clarify, imposter syndrome, both imposter syndrome and inner critic, yeah, they are not attached only to women. Men also can have it. But from my experience and from studies, unfortunately, women face it much more often than men. And to give you some examples, to give you some statistics on the imparities, men apply for a job when they meet only 60% of the qualifications, but women apply only if they meet 100 of them. So that means that we find a nice advertisement from a company, possibly online on anywhere else. We read it and we think about, oh, I don't fulfill one of the conditions, so I'm not good enough. I'm not going to apply. This doesn't make sense. I would not be admitted in any way. And men say, okay, I fit something like 60%. I will make it. I go to it. And finally, who gets the job? Get people who apply get the job. So it's really important for us to break those issues, to break the inner critic and the imposter syndrome, and really to do something about it. Another example from the statistics. Out of all MBA graduates from Carnegie Mellon, only 7% women negotiated their salary offers, while for men it was 57%. I think that speaks a lot. So it means that, yeah, only 7% of women felt confident enough to say, okay, I should earn better than what you have offered to me, while more than every second man thought the same. So, yeah, although both inner critic and imposter syndrome may refer to both male and female, I think that women are definitely more affected by it. And that's why we need to do something about it. You also see some statistics on the right side of the presentation of the slides, and it shows about the large technology companies and that they are making some progress in gender parities and in women representation in the companies, but still the gap is really big. And what I see is that many companies are right now trying to encourage women to to first of all to start a career in IT and in cybersecurity, and also to advance their career. There are really many tools to help them, but also from my professional experience, I meet so many women who are fantastic and who have the opportunities, who get the offers, but who say, I will not make it. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough experience. So that's my personal mission, to encourage you to really grab it, to really grab the opportunities and to really step out of the comfort zone. So let's talk further about the inner critic and about imposter syndrome. What are the consequences of them? First of all, we think about it that we are not good enough, so and that we should do better. So somehow we are stressed about being in the limelight. We are stressed about taking new activities, being promoted, and overall stepping out of comfort zone. And we always constantly are criticizing ourselves that we should do better, that we are not good enough, and so on. So once we do it, very often somebody else is grabbing the opportunity. We are not really boosting our career as much as we could, although we fully deserve it. Look, I've met women, for example, who were so lacking confidence in their workplace that, for example, they had the knowledge and they were able to prepare slides for the meeting with the customer, but they were not able to present it. They preferred somebody else to do it. And if we do things like that, it means that the others will really benefit from our hard work, and this is something we have to change. We need to boost this confidence and really advance. So, to give you some big role model example, a person who I personally admire so much, Michelle Obama, former yeah, Michelle, I think this is the person we do not really have to introduce. Everyone knows her. So, what she said about imposter syndrome, I've been there plenty of times, and what's helped me most is remembering that our worst critics are almost always ourselves. Women and girls are already up against so much, and the fact that you wouldn't be in that room if you didn't belong there, and this is something that really speaks a lot to me. Um, Honestly, since that time, since the time that I've read this for the first time, there were already a couple of situations when inner critic, this little voice in my mind, tried to, mm, try to really interfere into my confidence. And then in that situation, I was thinking about Michelle Obama, and I was thinking about this, at least the end of this sentence. You wouldn't be here in that room if you didn't belong there. So I think this is crucial to remember that. And whenever you feel like you don't belong somewhere, please think about Michelle Obama, because she's an amazing role model to all of us, and I think that all of us can relate with her. So, how to overcome your inner critic imposter? Some tips and tricks, advice from me is that, first of all, we need to take time and analyze our situation. So, what we need to do is really take some calm moment, maybe in the morning, maybe in the weekend, when nobody is going to interfere our thoughts, and really to take time and analyze the reason, analyze the cause, and analyze the cause of the cause. And let me explain on that. First of all, you need to identify if you really have, inner critic or imposter syndrome. Please think about what you are afraid of in your work environment. What are the situations? Maybe what can trigger that? Is it a person who triggers that? Is it a situation? Is that a particular feeling, a particular moment in your career that makes it so difficult, and that makes you so stressed about? Is it, for example, public performance? Is it discussion with your boss about something? And then also, as a second step, you may think about, okay, what's your biggest fear about it? What's your biggest fear? For example, if you are afraid of public speaking, are you afraid of the situation that you will forget what you were supposed to talk about? Or are you afraid that people will laugh at what you are saying? If you're afraid of a person, what exactly are you afraid of? Um, because very often we are afraid of something, but if you think about what will happen if your fear materializes, yeah, what will it really be the end of the world if that worst scenario happens? Usually the answer is no, this is not going to be the end of the world. And it also helps to feel better and to feel more confident about that particular situation, because if even the worst thing materializes, then you are really getting more and more calm about it. So again, what's next questions are: what situations trigger my inner critic? And what are the particular moments? And if you think that you have an imposter syndrome, then the question is why. And here, during the analysis, we often are stuck because we think about, okay, I know I have inner critic. I know that I have imposter syndrome, but I don't know why. I don't know what's the cause. And in order to get to know that, you really need to, I would say, reach deep into your memory, into your experiences, past experiences, because very often it's the situation from the past that can affect that. Family and in general, past experiences may be really the cause of your imposter syndrome and your inner critic. So let me give you my own personal example, the car story. um, so in general, I have a driver license, but I am afraid of driving the car. I'm not a driver. I hate it personally, and whenever I have to be a driver, I'm freaking out. um, and for many years, I have my driver license for over 10 years, but really I rarely drive, and I avoid it whenever I can. And it took me 10 years to realize what is the cause of that. I had a session with therapist who, and I told her that I know that this is insane that I should get rid of it, and I don't know why and what's the reason for that. And she asked me some questions about my past. She asked me some questions about, okay, can you please tell me your story? When did you get your car? When did your family get your first car? What was the circumstances in which you did your driver license? Were you driving right afterwards, and so on? And yeah, I found out when I dig dug in my memory deep, I found out that yeah, my family got a car really late when I was a teenager. This car was really something very valuable, very, very precious for our family. And we, of course, couldn't eat inside. We had to really take care of this car, and my dad treated it like a baby. Um, so after I passed my driver license, and it was at second attempt, I wanted to drive that car, and he said, "No, you cannot drive it because you are not experienced and you may cause an accident." And this single sentence, plus how how precious the car was in my childhood memories and so on, this led to the situation where that for the first 2 years I didn't have the opportunity to drive, and once I did, I was freaking out because this constant voice in my in my thoughts was saying, you are going to cause an accident, you are going to cause an accident. And whenever I did some small, even small mistakes, because you need to gain experience if you are starting to drive, and if you are inexperienced driver. So with every single moment where I did something bad, something wrong, I never caused an accident actually, but whenever I did something wrong, I was like, and you see, you cannot drive, you can cause an accident. So, it took me 10 years and really a session with a therapist to realize that. So I imagine that many of us can have such situation that from the past that could trigger the imposter syndrome or inner critic. And they really influence the way we live now, and the way we function in work environment. Um, Another good example is I had this lecture on Women's Day for my company, and one of the participants afterwards approached me and said, "You know what? I was thinking about what you said, and I was thinking about the relations with my dad. I come from a very religious family, and whenever we quarreled, he said and he lacked arguments to contradict my arguments. He said something like." Well, the Bible says that you are my daughter and you should be obedient to your father. So she said also to me that nowadays, whenever she has to face her boss and an older guy and so on, so even if, an older man, she really brings this relation with her father from the past, and she's really afraid of speaking, yeah, afraid of contradicting somebody's thoughts and so on. So this impacted her a lot, and she realized that during the lecture. um, so yeah, it may refer to you or not, but I still encourage you to think about, once you realize the particular situations or people who may trigger your imposter syndrome or inner critic, um, to think about if there may be some memory, something that you did in the past, or something that happened in the past that may affect that, because you may be surprised that there is some grain of truth in that. So once you realize that, you can turn the bad into positive. So you can think about who can support you now, and is your self-analysis good enough, or you need to discuss it further? Maybe you should talk to somebody from your inner circle, so to your friends, to your family, um, maybe to a therapist even, yeah, depending on the situation. But this also can help you to see the situation through the eyes of somebody else, and I highly encourage you to do that. Um, well, one important thing about growing up and also being raised, and how this may influence us later. I wanted to quote you the amazing person, Reshma Saujani, who is the founder of the charity organization Girls Who Code. So what Reshma said is that basically very often, at least in the past, there used to be a difference in which girls and boys were raised. So she said, most girls are taught to avoid failure and risk, to smile pretty, to play it safe, and get all A's. Boys, on the other hand, are taught to play rough, swing high, crawl to the top of the monkey bars, and then jump off head first. By the time they're adults, and whether they are negotiating a raise or even asking someone out on a date, men are habituated to take risk after risk. They are rewarded for it. In other words, we are raising our girls to be brave and our girls to be perfect, to be kind, and we are raising our boys to be brave. And I think this is also something very important to think about. Many women right now reflecting on their childhood are saying that they were raised to be kind, to not to contradict the teachers, to say to do what the teacher says, to do what the parents say, and then they were considered to be good. And boys, we are very often, yeah, rewarding boys for not being good, for being brave, yeah, for breaking the boundaries. We think about, oh, he's a boy, he can do it. And for the girl, do we really have double standards? Um, from my experience, from the experience that I have with many of my friends and many of participants of my lecture, it really is the case, and it may influence also on who we are as adults and how we interact in our work. Yeah, and if we feel the imposter syndrome or inner critic. Um, so I think this is also a good example. One of my friends said that, for example, she had to in the past when she was a girl, her mother asked her to clean not only her own room but also to clean the room of her brother. The question is why? Because she's a girl. Yeah, why her brother couldn't do it for himself? So um, we also, I think that if you are modest, then it's also worth thinking about the way you are raising your kids, because I'm sure that you're raising your girls to be amazing and your boys to be really appreciative of women. I'm sure of that. But maybe there is something that you may unconsciously doing. One of the participants of my lectures from the past also told me later that she was totally unconscious of the fact that she had two kids. She has two kids, a girl and a boy, and the boy is yeah, much younger. So she said that the most of household activities are done by the girl, that she asks her to clean and so on. And the boy is just 7, so he doesn't do anything. And she was like thinking, up until now, I was thinking that I do it right because she's older, but now I'm thinking, what is she thinking? Is she thinking that she needs to do the household because she's older, okay, or because she's a woman? So many reflections, many thoughts after the lectures, and many fantastic people I have met afterwards, and their insights are really important to me. So please think about it. And once you have this time for yourself to really reflect on this imposter syndrome, inner critic, you grab it and you think about, okay, what should I do about it? Let's give you some tips and tricks that I have learned from the others and that I have managed also to cope with my own imposter syndrome and inner critic thanks to them. So first of all, if you do not feel confident in some particular situation, like for example, public speeches, or if you need to face somebody and you do not feel that you are an expert in the particular area, first of all, prepare yourself. This helps a lot. So you can prepare some notes. You can talk to people who are more experienced in the same subject to learn from them. This is always an amazing way to really prepare yourself to think about. You can also do the rehearsal, so to say. I had a colleague lately who was very afraid of speaking in public. Not only women have it, men have it as well. So he asked me to, do the rehearsal and if I can be his audience and tell him afterwards what I think about it. So preparation is one step. If, of course, you cannot prepare to all the situations, but also if you, for example, have an important discussion, for example, you want to negotiate your salary with your boss, also prepare arguments, prepare yourself, have some notes and look at them. There is nothing bad in that. Another tip, body language is key. If you feel that you are afraid, you can fake it. I will tell you a little bit more about it in a minute. Let's jump to another trick. Positive feedback. You can ask 5 people you work with to name 3 things that they believe you are at the best at. You can ask them even to write it anonymously if they don't want to. I think that they for sure will not want to talk in public about it, but you can ask them just to put it in paper and give it to you. I'm sure that you think you know that you are good at some things, but I'm also sure that if you do this exercise with your work colleagues, you'll find out many nice things about you, many positive things that you were not really aware of. You will be like, oh, I didn't know that people think I'm good at it, and that's great. And this is also going to boost your self confidence. Past experience. Think about the situation where you really, that was really difficult to you, but where you managed to cope with that. For example, a couple of years ago, before I got my global role, I was only a service manager. I was sent to a business trip to Switzerland, where I had to convince the customer who was not happy with the level of the service to not to quit the contract. I was freaking out, you may imagine that. I was there alone and I had to practically negotiate with the customer not to breach the contract. Um, and I was so stressed about it, but it went well. And it was a great experience, actually, that taught me a lot. And it boosted my confidence afterwards so much that now, when I, for example, have a difficult situation, I think about all of those situations that I managed to cope with, all of the difficult conversations, all of the situations where all of the conflicts that I had to solve, and so on. And this really helps you because if you think, okay, I managed to cope with those difficult situations in the past, this time I'm going to manage to. Another point, sometimes we are not able to help to cope with our issues by ourselves, and we need to be open about it. There is nothing bad in seeking support, professional support. If you feel that neither you nor your friends, your family can really help you overcome your issues, then therapy is also a good thing. I think that my therapist also taught me so much and helped to me to cope with all the challenges I had in my profession and in all the in all the situations in my career I had to cope with. That I really own her a lot. So good therapist in case you really cannot overcome this by yourself. I think it's a normal thing, and we need to speak up about it. Yeah, it's not a taboo topic anymore. And last but not least, one important remark: don't avoid challenges. I know it's so much easier to just skip it and to say, okay, I'm quitting. I'm not going to take this position. It will be easier for me to stay in my comfort zone. I'm not going to give this speech. My colleague will do it better, or I'm not going to get this assignment. It doesn't make sense. It will be easier for me just to stay where I am. I know, I know it's much easier. But overall, picking up challenges and facing the challenges really helps you to develop. When I think about past year and all the challenges I had to overcome, at that point they seem to be so difficult to me. But when I think about them 1 year after, 1 year later, I'm like, yeah, they were not so bad. They were not so bad as they seemed, and they helped me to develop much quicker and really to boost my career and to speed up my career. So I also encourage you to really don't avoid taking up challenges. And I see also the comment, these are all great methods to keep in mind. I find that being as present as possible helps as well. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. So I missed one of the comments. Body language is key. So what I mean by that, I'm going to give you my example, and then I'm going to hand over to professional about body language. So I had a situation where I think that many of us can relate. I went to the conference in when I was newly appointed in my global role, and I stepped into the room full of mostly men. Let's be honest. In cybersecurity, unfortunately, there are still too few women. Um, there was a room of like over 200 people, and I didn't know almost any one of them. And I was so, first of all, I was thinking about running away because felt very insecure. um, but then what I did, I didn't run away. I faked it. I faked my body language. So what I did, I straightened up myself. I just tucked my chin upwards, and I did the power walk through the room. And I remember how men were looking at me, and I think that they were looking like, yeah, with some kind of respect, because this is what how people are perceiving each other. If you are confident, if you look confident, people respect you. And this is something I think that comes out of nature, of our past, of even prehistoric times, and that it's really important. And most of all, this helps you in one situation, but this may help you overall. And why I would just give you an example of a fantastic person. You can watch later on her TED Talks. You can also read her book because she's amazing. Amy Cuddy, she's a body language expert on, and she's also talking a lot about how to cope with our imposter syndromes and inner critics using body language. So first of all, Amy, what she did a study on body language, and she asked two groups of people to sit in a room. First of all, a first group with their body language being typically stressed and afraid, so closed position, yeah, so crossed shoulders and so on, trying to look smaller than you are. And the second group was supposed to sit in an open position, like being confident of yourself for, I believe, 20 minutes. And afterwards, she said, yeah, okay, now please, you've got the activities to do. And they were supposed to make decisions. And the decisions were related to taking risk. And as you may already, already guess, the group of people who were confident, they were much more eager to pick up new risks and to face the risk than those who were just, yeah, with their body language faking the cross position and being afraid of. So it seems like if we it's not only that our body language is showing who we are inside and if we are afraid or not, but it may also work the other way around. If we try to fake our confidence with our body language, this may also help, and this is scientifically proven. I think that her case is even more important, and this is something I wanted to talk to you about also. So Amy, besides being body language specialist, Amy had a very important story to tell about herself and her story, and her imposter syndrome, her own one. So basically, she in her teenage years, when she was graduating from her high school, she had a very bad car accident, and she hurt her head very bad, and she had a long time to recover. I believe she skipped 1 year, and she started her studies a year later than the others. And one important thing that she got to know afterwards was, apart from, your head damage, you may have some issues. Your brain may not work as usual. You may have problems with studying. And starting from that point, she really had got her imposter syndrome. She was thinking about, my brain is not working properly. I need to study twice as hard as the others, and so on. And she, during her junior year at the university, she once came to her dean, and she said, I don't belong here. I shouldn't be here. I'm not smart enough. I have issues. My brain is not working properly after the accident. And the dean told her, you are going to come tomorrow to the classes and you are going to fake it. You are going to be confident, you are going to ask the questions, and you are going later to do the assignments. You will fake it and you will be great. And she gave it a chance. She was faking it. She was trying to be confident day by day. And in that way, she managed to finish her junior year. She managed to finish her studies, which she was, yeah, sure that she was not going to make it. And moreover, she managed to enter Harvard, and she graduated from Harvard afterwards. And it was when she graduated from Harvard, when she realized, and she had a student who had also imposter syndrome, when she realized, well, I don't have imposter syndrome anymore. Wow. And she told her students the same, fake it, become, and her motto right now, her major thought is, take it till you make it, and later fake it till you become it. So really, if you are afraid, also try step by step. try tomorrow to cope with some small imposter syndrome, some small critics, some small imposter syndrome, and day by day, experience by experience, you will feel more and more confident. So that's I believe the great advice from Amy Cuddy. I also encourage you to read her book on the body language and how it can influence us, and listen to her TED talks, because yeah, she's amazing. Um, so in the end, one final thought from myself would be, a strong woman knows she has strength enough for the journey, but the woman of strength knows it is in the journey when she will become strong. So it is really so important to face those challenges, to not to be afraid of them. Of course we are all afraid. I think that even the biggest leaders, the biggest speakers and so on, everyone is afraid. It's just a question if you are going to live with that and not develop, or you are going to really overcome it and, to take the bull by the horns. So I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'm open to all of your questions that you may have. um, and I'm reading the comments right now. So first of all, yeah, first comment that I see, just let me scroll through it. um, yeah, I see that quite many of you can have some imposter syndromes and so on. There are also some cat moms. That's great. Um, so let's start with first comment. So, well, my imposter syndrome is bad enough that sometimes I believe I got my internship just because I am a girl. Wow. Yeah, this may be also an issue. Right now there are so many initiatives to support women that it may also have some backlash. That sometimes we may think, okay, did we got this job because there are parities? Did we get there because yeah, we are women, yeah, and women are supposed to be supported. I understand it, and I think that it's not the case. It's not the case. You are just good enough, and you need to think like that. Yeah. So definitely, somebody who made that decision was making that because you are simply amazing, and probably your CV was good and your experience was good enough. So I think that you are simply good. Afraid of failure and afraid of success. Yeah. um, that's right. Success may have also second side at the other side. So for me, for example, I had really great. I had luck with my career, and I got promoted really fast. But every time I got promoted, and it was every 2 years basically, it was again stepping out of my comfort zone and again taking up new responsibilities and new activities. And the last one's about taking global role. This was the biggest challenge, I would say. And now I'm 2 years in this role, and I feel confident. And I don't think that I want to advance right now. I think that I'm really happy where I am right now, because it may be very challenging to be successful, but also to step out of comfort zone so many times and so regularly. I hate driving as well. Yeah, I hope that we'll make the we will make it. Yeah, we need to start driving. So basically, the advice that my therapist did to me to start driving is to find some 2 weeks time, 2 week time window where you have some free time and you can start driving day by day. And it's important to do it every day. And why is it so? Because we learn new habits in 2 weeks. So if we manage to do it every day for 2 weeks, there is a high probability that we'll continue. So I am just waiting for my, 2 weeks, yeah, time window of calmness to start that. And yeah, I hope that we'll make it. Good luck with that. Okay. These are all great methods. That this is something that we already discussed. You can't grow in your comfort zone. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, you will develop, you will advance, but probably this will take you much more time than by facing challenges. So, from my experience, I can say that whenever I had really big challenge like this negotiation with the customer in Switzerland, something happened afterwards that I was quickly promoted. And yeah, so my friends are saying that it's because of that, or it's because some other situation, some very important conflict I managed to solve, or some many important speech I made, I managed to do, and so on. So I think that it helps to really develop, to really boost. um, thank you for mentioning therapy. I feel like that's not brought up anywhere near enough during discussions like this. It's important, and you know what? I'm not afraid of saying that. And I know this is still a taboo topic, but whenever I start talking with my friends and I say that I have a therapist, and like 50% of them are opening up and saying, "Yeah, I have two," or "Oh, I need a therapy. Can you just give me the number of your therapist?" And so it seems like it's needed, and we need to speak about it more. It's nothing bad in having therapists. It doesn't mean anything bad, and that's why I'm doing that. I'm speaking loudly about it, and I encourage you to do the same, because if at least one person who was afraid of having therapy will start it because of that, that's already great. Yes, therapy and dealing with the inner child is definitely something that helps overcoming this. This is, of course, not the only way, but this is one of the good ways, I think. Thanks for all of these ways to address imposter syndrome. Plus one to therapy. It does help if these issues keep coming up. Thank you for being open and authentic. Really means a lot to me. Thank you. Can faking it get you in bad situation when you someone thinks that you are more capable than you are? No, that's exactly the imposter syndrome. I mean, I don't mean faking that you know something. Yeah, be honest about it. If you have no idea about some particular topic, uh, you shouldn't fake it. You should be open about it. What I mean here is, if you do not feel confident, you fake your confidence. You fake being confident and stepping into the room full of people you don't know, speaking up about something. I'm thinking about the situations where you have the knowledge and you think about, oh, I will not say anything, yeah, because I'm afraid to. I know so many situations, for example, where women said, or when I see even, this is from the experience with other female colleagues, sitting in a room, some executive meeting, men talking, women being afraid of talk. Women have great ideas very often and are afraid of speaking aloud because they think, oh, they will think my idea is, yeah, this is crap and this really bad idea. Even if they do, what will happen? Nothing bad will happen. Again, this is the something that I'm repeating over and over. If you are afraid, you can also think about, okay, what will happen? Is this going to be the end of the world? Even if they say no, then this is the worst thing that can happen. So in the past, I was also in situations. I'm kind of a person who was always, I would say, speaking a lot and speaking loud, and be very open about if things are bad and so on. And I had lacked that in my company. Yeah, sometimes I was working with people. I had bosses who were just ignoring that, ignoring my comments and so on. But now I'm in a situation where I'm working with people who are really amazing at that and who really, yeah, they appreciate if people speak openly. So I encourage you to really do it, because you may be surprised that your ideas are really, very welcome. And if you will hide them, how are people supposed to know that you've got them, that those ideas are great? Um, yeah, the quote. This is the quote. This it's really important for me. So it's in the journey. It's always the journey, and no step should be considered to be the end of our journey. And the strength, we need the strength both for the journey, and we also gain strength through the journey. So it works both ways. Another comment: I am on the spectrum and I have had to fake to fit, even if it wasn't true. But my concern is, if you fake too well, and they think that you are more capable than you are, it's not going to be good. So, how do you balance faking it with honesty of your skills? Um, I would say, again, for me, it's not really about faking your skills. You are talking about the things that you are confident about, right? And not about your skills. It's more about not being afraid to talk even. not being afraid to step into the room, not being afraid of, participating in classes, to participate in a meeting, not being afraid to give a speech. This is something that I would say you are, yeah, afraid. Fake that you are not. You are not faking that you've got knowledge if you don't have knowledge about particular subject. This would be this might be dangerous in that case. You just fake you're being confident. Okay, yeah. Can you write a book? Oh yeah, I'm not. I'm planning to write a book for sure right now. I just came overcome my some of my imposter syndrome, and I started a podcast this week actually. So last week I started my podcast on Spotify and on Apple Podcast, but it's only in my Polish language, yeah, so only in my mother tongue. I'm not a native English speaker, so maybe I will also decide in the future to start a podcast in English, and I hope that you'll be able to listen to it. Then I'm starting with the Polish version right now, and yeah, a book maybe in the very future. Thank you very much for that. Um, so we still have 10 minutes. I'm wondering, are there any questions that I have overseen? Are there any further comments from your side, or any further questions where I can help you? I would love an English podcast. I will think about it for sure. You know what? Only as my I would say ending thought is that I said I'm not an English native speaker, so I also had to overcome my inner critic or imposter syndrome by giving this speech to you, because I believe most of you are native speakers, and I was even like, okay, how will you receive this presentation? What do you think about it? Yeah, if you will think, what you will think about me talking and talking about this subject. So I believe that every day we need to overcome this, and this is a journey that we have to face every day, and not only a one-time process. How do you respond to when you feel you are not being promoted because you are women? Oh, that's a very bad situation, very tough one, and very delicate one. I would say the first of all is to understand if this is something that you see only, or this is something that the others see. I was there in the past, and even the worst thing was that my boss was a woman. So my boss was a woman who was promoting only men. And there was even a joke, insider joke, that once she left, women started to be promoted in the department. So what I did is I ran away from her. Honestly, I changed the department, and the funny story is. I switched the department to another one, and after 2 years, she came to be my boss again there. So I worked with her for the next years, and nothing improved. So I left again, and now I'm in a place where, yeah, I'm in cybersecurity, mostly surrounded by men. But I see that also, and this is something very, I would say, important and very positive remark. Then is cybersecurity, the women that basically all the women that I met here. In my company, but also outside my company, it seems like we are so supportive and we are so helping each other. It's somehow I have a feeling that we know that there are so few of us in cybersecurity, and we really try to help each other, and this is great. And be good to other women. Honestly, I'm sure you are, but continue to do so. So answering the question, my situation is that I first of all I was just feeling that the boss will never really understand me well, will never really see my potential, and will never promote me. So I was speaking with her. I was speaking to her. I told her that I really don't feel like I'm appreciated enough. I didn't mention that because I am a woman. I just said that I don't feel appreciated enough. And when I saw that there is no nothing changed, that there is no difference, I left. Okay, another question. How would you recommend identifying your skill set? I think that there are a couple of tools that are available online to do about your skills. That there are some I would say tests that you can do online, and also I would say talking to the people around you. So one of those recommendations that I did, ask 5 people to name 3 things that you are the strongest at, and you may be surprised about the answer, what it is going to be. Um, but definitely, there is also yeah, the Johari window, for example. That there is one of the tools that you may use that shows the capabilities that you think that you are strong in, but also asks in during doing when doing Johari window, you need to ask your co-workers about it. And this is, I would say, the other version of this, asking 5 people about 3 things. Johari window is, I think, a great tool also to recognize the things that you are really good at, but you are unconscious of, yeah, that you are not aware of. Okay, I find it very hard not to compare myself with the guys in my office, single guys living alone, not cooking or doing any housework, and me trying to balance finishing my master's studies with work and a healthy relationship, not being able to put extra hours into work. Is there any way to detach myself from this mindset that makes me feel small and like I'm not working hard enough? Wow, this is a great comment. Thank you very much. I know how you feel. And first of all, you are a Wonder Woman for combining all of this, and big appreciation to you. Um, I know how it is. So I work with other people in this very similar position. There are only guys. I am the only woman, and they do have families and so on. But what they do is that they do a lot of overtime, and I don't. I really, due to the fact that I was really in the past, I was stressed about and I had some health issues. I really avoid doing overtime. And the question is, how do you, is it possible to be a global head, to have such a global role, and to avoid doing overtime? I do it from time to time, but what I mean is I'm not sitting, like 11, 12 hours every day in front of my computer. Simply because I know that I need to be that I need to be flexible, and that my type of work requires a lot of creativity, and you will not be creative if you work 12 hours every day, simply. So I also sometimes have this feeling, this glimpse of feeling when I hear that they do it, because my colleagues really do a lot of overtime, work during weekends sometimes, and so on, even regularly. And I'm like, okay, you are not doing that because this is how you organize your work. If you still manage to get your work done, not doing overtime, yeah, this is good for you. So also, if you think that you compare yourself with the guys in the office, and they live alone and so on, they have time to work, and you are yourself, and you are amazing for combining this all, and I think that you should be proud of that. You shouldn't compare with them. Everyone of us has got their own journey and their own way of coping things. If you manage to do your work by the way you're doing this right now, you shouldn't adjust yourself to some type of overall way of working, because only to suit the others, in my opinion. So just as one comment adding to that, a very important fact is that um, some important remark that I remember from one of the people is that I have heard a story of Facebook COO who's a woman, and she said that she since she has two kids, she tries to come home to dinner every single day, so she cannot really sit long office hours. And she does it for the 10 years, but it's been 1 year when she's brave enough, courage enough to speak, courageous enough to speak about it openly. So before that, for the last 9 years, she didn't have enough courage to speak about it, that she's not doing overtime, because it's somehow perceived badly in especially in big companies, that you are not doing overtime. And I think that this is something that we should also speak about, that work-life balance is a key. How are we supposed to be good employees? How are we supposed to be creative if we are doing overtime every single day? Yeah? So our mental health is also very important. Okay, I think that we are good. I don't see any further questions. And I'm really glad that we thank you very much, first of all, for all the questions. Thank you very much for mentioning the book and the podcast. It's really it means a lot also to me, and I'm so glad that I have managed today to meet you and to talk to you. Unfortunately, I cannot see you and I cannot meet you in person, but I wish you really good luck with your future career. I hope you will boost it. I'm sure that you will make it. Keep my advice and read about imposter syndrome, inner critic. Read about your role models and how they managed to cope with that. And I'm sure you will be amazing and very successful in your career. And I wish you all the best for the future, in your career life and in your personal life. Thank you, and have a nice rest of the day and rest of the day of security. Bye bye.